It's 8 o'clock. Who shows up at 8 o'clock for an 8 o'clock date?
I don't know, maybe a Chilton teacher?
Everybody knows that 8 o'clock means 8:20, 8:15 tops.
Well, obviously he was raised in a bar.
I'll tell you, he's cute, but this punctuality thing has knocked 10 points off the dream guy quotient.
I just finished season 1, episode 11, Paris is Burning. Woo! Okay, so first off, let me say Max Medina was in this episode. And you already know how I feel about Max Medina. Basically, for me, I feel like this episode focused on relationships. So there are like 3 plot points on 3 different relationships. First one was Max and Lorelai's relationship. The second one was Suki and Jackson's relationship. Third one is basically Paris and her family. So those are like kind of like the 3 plot points for this episode. So let's start off with Paris and her family. Word gets out at Chilton that Paris's parents are divorcing, and so she's getting talked about all over the school, and people are like whispering about her, so she's kind of like outcast right now. And so what Rory notices is that when Paris is ostracized, then she gets accepted by the Chilton crew. Like Paris's best friends actually talk to Rory, and they say hi to her, and she's like, this is just weird. So Paris, it kind of shows you that Paris was the main one that was causing Rory to not get accepted, which we knew. That's kind of like Paris's big issue. So Paris is the one that sees Max and Lorelai kissing on Parents' Day at Chilton. And so Paris spreads it all over Chilton to all the other students, and it gets out. And so now Rory is the one that is ostracized. And Paris did that because you know how sometimes people that are hurt other people to kind of make them feel how they feel. So that was like Paris's thinking. Like she had all this attention on her, and she's like, I don't like people talking about me, my family. I want the attention off of me. So she saw her chance to have people talking about someone else. So she took it and spread the word, and then Rory was the one everyone was talking about. The thing I really like though is Rory called Paris out. Oh my, I was so proud of her for that. Because you know, Rory is not typically the one to stand up for herself. In this episode, she did. She was like, why did you do that? Like, you should know firsthand how it feels to have people talking about you. Then you went and you did it to me. And not only did you just do it to me, you did it to my mom. You did it to our teacher, Max Medina. And he likes you. Like, he has not done anything to you, and you took this chance, and you, like, it affected more people than just me. Like, that's what she told Paris. And woo, the cool thing about that too is when Rory calls out Paris, that actually makes Paris think about what she did and realize like how it affected other people. Because you know, Paris is kind of very self-centered so far in the series, and so Rory kind of brought her down to earth, like, hey, what you do has consequences, and you're kind of realizing that. And so you kind of see like a bonding moment between the two of them, because Rory kind of gives Paris an olive branch. Even though she did this, she's like, if you ever need to talk to me, I'm here. I know we're not friends, but I'm here. We can talk. So yeah, so that's kind of how that plot went. Plot number 2, Max and Lorelai relationship. Man, I'm not gonna lie, I did not really like Lorelai in this episode. She was doing my Max man wrong, and I was not feeling her because of this. They start off the episode, and Lorelai has been dating Max. Their relationship is in an amazing place. Like, they're seeing each other all the time, just enjoying spending time with each other. So at one point, Rory and Max end up in the house together while Lorelai is still getting ready for her date with Max. And so Max and Rory start talking, and it's so awkward watching that, just because they're student and teacher, and so they don't know how to take the teacher relationship and transfer it outside of Chilton. And so they have that whole discussion about it, and they're like, how about we call each other separate names, trying to separate their school relationship with the personal relationship. And so they have this talk, and it's really good because by the end of it, like, they're in a more comfortable place, and Max's mind frame is like, he doesn't want it to be awkward with Rory, because it's like, I plan on being around a lot more. Like, he sees a future in their relationship, and I love that so much. And so Rory and Lorelai are going ice skating, and Rory brings up, hey, we should invite Max to go with us, or if we don't take him ice skating, we should invite him to go someplace else with us. And that freaks Lorelai out. Ooh. So Lorelai starts snowballing, and she did not like that at all. So that's when she gets it in her mind that she needs to break up with Max Medina, because she's using the excuse that she doesn't want Rory to get hurt if things don't work out with him. But really, she doesn't want herself to get hurt, her Lorelai get hurt, and that's really, she's just trying to push her fears on Rory and make Rory the scapegoat. And that's when I love Suki. Suki hasn't been in most of these episodes for a minute, so she comes back and she calls out Lorelai, and she's like, this is what you do in all your relationships. You hit the 2-3 month mark and you're like, I'm done, I gotta get out. And so then you dump them, or you find a reason to not date them anymore. And so she calls her out. She's like, this is what you're doing. Like, you're doing your cha-cha-cha, time for me to go. that's when Lorelai was just harsh with her. She's like, well, how are you giving me dating advice when you haven't even been out on a date in years? And Lorelai, man, she rubbed me the wrong way this episode. And so she said that to Suki, and you just see Suki's face fall because you know it's real. And I'm not gonna lie, it's hard out here for people who are trying to date. So Lorelai was just wrong. And so then Lorelai starts avoiding Max's call. She won't call him back. She just kind of ghosts him with no explanation. And so it's Parents' Day coming up, and so Max reaches out to Rory. He's like, hey, is your mom coming to Parents' Day? I haven't heard from her in a while, and I'm trying to see. And so Rory's like, yeah, my mom's coming. So then Lorelai tries to put Rory in the middle of her and Max, and she'd borrowed a book from Max earlier in the episode, and she's like, hey, can you just give this book back to Max? Because she has no intention to talk to him ever again, which is wild. Like, you're a grown-up. You're like 33. Come on. You got to do better than this, Lorelai. And so, yeah, she doesn't want to talk to him, and Rory calls her out. She's like, no, I'm not about to be put in the middle. You started this, you figure it out. So Rory, I'm very proud of her. She really stood up again for herself and stated her boundaries. Like, I'm not about to do this. Then Parents' Day comes, and so Lorelai goes. She's not looking forward to see Max. And so her plan is to give him the book she borrowed back and then just dump him and be done with it. So at the end of like his class introduction for Parents' Day, everyone clears out. It's just the two of them. And she basically just keeps on trying to give him this book. And he's like, I don't understand, like, what's happening? Like, why are you just trying to give me this book? And then he's like, I don't want the book. Like, let's talk about this. And he calls her Lorelai out, too. Like, this was the episode of Lorelai getting called out. And honestly, she needed it so bad. And so he calls her out. He's like, you're blaming us breaking up and, like, you wanting to put it into it on Rory. It is not Rory. It is you. You are scared. You need to admit, like, he calls her out, and it's amazing. And so as they're supposed to be breaking up, or as Lorelai's trying to break up with him, she kisses him. Paris sees it. Then we know what happens with that. Then they go to Friday night dinner, and Emily finds out about it. And it's when Emily calls Lorelai out. Lorelai got called out like 5 times in this episode. I was here for it. But when Emily calls out Lorelai, that's when Lorelai realizes how she feels about Max Medina. And so then they meet later for coffee. And at this time, everyone at Chilton knows what was going on between the two of them and that they were kissing. So Max is in trouble at work, and he's basically on probation. And he's like, I need to take a step back from this, because he was initially in the episode, he was all in. He was ready. Lorelai was playing games, not knowing what she wanted. And then towards the end of the episode, it kind of shifted to Max being like, we need to take a step back and figure this out. And I need some space for myself, because he's trying to be serious. He wants a real relationship, and Lorelai was just all over the place. So I was Team Max this episode. Lorelai, like, I understand her thought process and just her being scared to be vulnerable and honestly put herself out there, because that is a scary thing. But at the same time, like, yeah, she was not doing it for me this episode. So after they have that talk, they agree to like go on a break, kind of have space to figure out what they want to do going forward. And so the episode ends with Lorelai upstairs in her room crying, and Rory basically comforts her. So last plot of this episode was Suki and Jackson. So let's jump back to when Lorelai was really cruel to Suki and was like, you haven't had a date in years. Like, the way Suki's face just dropped. Like, Suki is one of the happiest characters on the show. She's bubbly. She's like the sweetest person. And Lorelai was wrong. She instantly knew when she said that she was wrong, but it just hurt my heart to see Suki's like face just drop and for her to be hurt. And so it was that moment, like when Lorelai does that, then Suki was like, okay, I'm gonna get a date. So later on, like for most of the episode, Jackson and Suki have been arguing about, he's their vegetable fruit vendor. So they've been arguing about the goods that he's been giving her. And so at the end, towards the end of the episode, Jackson comes to Independence Day and Suki asks Jackson out. I love that scene so much. I am always just so proud of Suki's confidence to be like, hey, would you like to go out with me? And so Jackson says yes. And so I'm so excited. I like their relationship too. Like, I feel like they're friends first and then they go into love. But yeah, so she asked him out, and so it kind of just shows her jump starting her dating life again, which I'm like, yes, Suki, get it. Good job, girl. And to follow up on my last video, Luke was wearing the blue cap when in this episode. So he is wearing it. That was the one he was in. He was only in one scene though, but blue cap, he was wearing the cap Lorelai gave him. Ooh. So yeah, I'm so excited about the next episode to see where we go from here, because there was so much happening, but it was very, very good. Yeah.
This has been another episode of Real Talk with Noelle.